Hello and welcome to Movement and Nature, 3 days of creative flow with Sarah Fareed. So the topic for day 2 is connect. What are we connecting to? We are connecting to the deepest, most innermost parts of ourselves. One thing. Secondly, we are connecting to the nature, the environment all around us, because we are interconnected at the deepest, most fundamental level to the sun, the trees, the air we breathe. We are part of nature. Nature is not separate from us. But what we have forgotten in our everyday lives is exactly that. And this is why this course is here to remind us that we are all interconnected to nature. So without rhythm, without movement, without inspired action, we cannot achieve mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being and freedom, along with, of course, the physical aspect, which is movement. But all the parts are taken along for the journey. So there is this ancient saying, a Native American proverb, which goes along the line of, treat the earth well. It was not given to you by your parents. It was not given to you by your parents. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. What does this mean? It means that we are used to taking from the earth without giving it a second thought. We use the earth's water that we drink, the soil we use to get food from. We deplete the earth's resources, the air to breathe, and in fact, the consumption footprint, the worldwide consumption footprint exceeds the regenerative capacity of Earth's ecosystems by 30%. So this is to say, and I've taken notes because there are so many points, I don't want to miss any one of them. So this is to say that the human population today uses 30% more of the Earth's resources than can be replaced naturally. So this rate of use is of course not sustainable, and the only way we can survive past 100 years, given the air pollution, whatever is being put into the environment, the climate change, is that we actually take steps to do something different in those 100 years or less we have for humanity to be able to sustain its existence on this very planet. So what is the point here? Since the Industrial Revolution 200 years ago, this has been the trend overall. But this is not to feel guilty, but to be mindful of the earth providing for us and our fellow humans, to celebrate its gifts, our own. No, my cat is trying to jump on the tripod. So celebrate the gifts and the gift of life that is you, that is us, with our infinite potential to impact ourselves, the environment, and the people around us for the positive. So here we connect with our body's natural rhythms and ancient wisdom. So there is a quote by William Blake that says, "To see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour." So what does this mean? It means that from William Blake's perspective, all writers are often critical of society and are often demonized because they show society the true face of its hypocrisy, of its rules, of its short-sightedness, which of course challenges the status quo, which of course people don't like because it makes them see things about themselves and about the way they live or about the way society functions that they don't exactly particularly want to see. So on the cosmological level and spiritual plane, you can see the entire world structure in something so very, very small and minute. And what is impossible for an adult to see is easily perceivable by a child, because in our modern existence, we have lost, in the process of becoming adults, we have lost the fascination, the wonder, the amazement to be alive that we once got from just being here. And the idea is to reclaim that, and only by transcending the challenges and looking beyond our basic existence, we can get back to the innocence of a child and feel remarkable, as it was so easy to access this feeling of utter excitement and joy when we were younger. So, lastly, I want to move on to the creation of Adam, which is this painting in art history, which I taught at the Indus Valley, and I studied for a year at Rice University during my undergraduate degree. I learned was part of the Renaissance movement, which the Renaissance itself was a rebirth of literature, of art and architecture and dance. So the creation of Adam, and I will show you the exact painting right here, so you can take a moment to look at it. And what it signifies is that the higher power breathed life into Adam in the form of the spirit that was given to him, which is created in the likeness of God himself, who gave Adam the reason to be, which is humanity's redemption, which is our passions, our emotions, our spirit, that makes us more than functioning robots, which makes us endearing because we have our idiosyncrasies, we have our little habits, we have our little characteristics that we do that set us all apart. So we are all unique, but we are all part of one consciousness. So we are single points of consciousness in an infinite stream. And that is represented by the divinity from which we come from. So the Renaissance was a rebirth of the ideas of personal freedom and individual expression. And that is exactly what is represented by humanity. When humanity was created, we got the gift of creation, of original thought, of our spirit that liberates us and makes us who we are. So in fractal geometry, there is a principle where there's self-replicating patterns in nature, and those very patterns are found in our DNA, in our bodies, in our cells. So that pattern is repeated, and the scale changes from the branches of a tree being in this Y shape to the branch above it being in the same Y shape, and that goes on into infinity. So the point of all this is not to say we have a privilege or a superiority, but that we have divinity within us. And greatness is our birthright, and by inspired action, just sitting for a few minutes in nature. Why is it so hard to do? Because our brains have been fragmented by technology that is constantly showing us random bits of information, entertainment, that don't come together. Like when you watch a movie, the whole 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is part of one storyline with one chronology. But this, what we are subjecting ourselves to, is a hodgepodge of ideas, of characters, of timelines that are non-continuous. And it leaves us feeling very fragmented, very disoriented. Although we may feel like we're being entertained because our brain just wants something to stimulate it, to release dopamine, but we are still not really growing or learning. And of course, with that scrambled mental state, we are also constantly bombarded by messages from the media, which are constant comparisons about not being good enough. The narrative that it sells us is things that we do not need, but due to which we remain a slave to consumerism. And by not feeling good enough about ourselves, we are inspired to spend money on things that give us instant gratification, making it hard for us to stay in this focused state without being distracted by letting go of our screen for even 2 minutes, 3 minutes in nature, because we are so used to being tied with it that we get this kind of separation anxiety if we're away from our phone or our laptop or our tablet for 2 minutes.